Obviously, same format as last year, that opening weekend. Is there anything you guys can learn from that and apply to this weekend?
Yeah, same format, different tournament, different venue as well. We've been blown away about how organized things are, how much information we have on how things will go. And then obviously it's going to be an incredible venue, home of the World Series champs. So in the competition's incredible, a lot of familiar faces with that. So it's a different vibe, it's a different setting, different year, different team. And really what we want to accomplish is we want to have a good experience. And a good experience for media, for fans, for coaches, players is all different. But combined as a team, we want to go down there and have a good experience. Our guys need to act like pros when they're not at the park. At the park, they need to play the way ball fans want them to. We'll see how the results go. And it's going to be hard to go on this trip and not at least get better, regardless of what the results are, because of the venue, the competition, the media attention, and everything else.
How have you seen Xander grow as a person from his first year with the Vols to who he is today?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could date that back to when we started recruiting him, because it was at a fairly young age, and because of the proximity of being from Georgia, not very far away, and him just being a big personality and coming from a good family, there's been a ton of interaction. So he's always kind of been the same guy, goofy lefty, again, big heart, good family, easy to interact with, but he's matured in a lot of different areas that have made him more comfortable, I think, in the clubhouse, more of a leader as each year has gone by, and then, just in different facets of the game has become a little bit sharper. And you see that incremental improvement every year, and you all could probably research the stats and watch video too. It's easy to see. There was never one big jump he put on 20 pounds or 10 miles an hour on a fastball, but he's consistently gotten better, and a lot of that's a tribute to his work ethic.
What's something intangible about Frank Anderson that just makes him such an elite pitching coach?
Yeah, I don't know. I said this, to the fellas that'll be broadcasting the game. I don't know that when he's asked, he doesn't really put a finger on it. I don't have a specific list. In this day and age, you'd like to think any pitcher in the country would be interested in Tennessee if they look at his resume. But in this day and age, most people look at Twitter, or they want to see a video or a mechanism or some kind of formula, like a pitching lab where a pitching coach has got a beaker and I went to science class, but I don't remember all that stuff, creating pitches. And I don't think any of that's there. I think at the heart of it is you got a very competitive person that is incredibly intelligent. And so maybe I just answered the question just kind of talking through it in my head. And he comes to work every day wanting guys to get better. He takes it very personal if guys do not get better or they do not perform well, and you'll see him the next day on a mission with that guy in particular. And speaking, to that guy in particular is the way he coaches. He doesn't have a system. Again, maybe it hurts us in recruiting. I don't know. We don't have some system we can lay out and say, this is why guys throw hard or throw strikes or get drafted, or his guys have a track record for doing very well in pro ball. We don't really have any of that stuff because he approaches each guy very differently. And it'd be easy to label him an old school coach because he's older. Hopefully he doesn't watch this. But he is older, and he's got experience, and he does kind of have that old school grit and toughness mentality. But he is very into educating himself on all the new developments in pitching. And so he kind of meshes those together in what works best for him as well. So that's not my final answer because it's too big of a question to answer, and it's near and dear to my heart and everyone else that's a part of the program. And the bottom line is we're blessed to have him, and and Frank we trust.
Any leanings on where you'll go Friday, Saturday with Beam, Russell? And if you went Beam Saturday, what would be an upside to that?
Stability, no question. That's been the upside to his entire career. We're at a point, we'll see where we get to where we get into SEC play, and no disrespect to any non-conference opponents that come here when we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We play 3 different opponents, and they're all 3 really good programs with coaches that have resumes almost as long as Coach Anderson's. So to me, it's about stability. You go into day 2, you want to kind of know what you're getting. And I think on top of that, I think he's willing to take the ball in any facet or any, way, shape, or form you want to do throughout the year. We even talked in the fall about if we're fortunate enough to be in the playoffs, he might be the guy that we wear out, and throw in a bunch of different situations. But for now, it'll be the second day against Oklahoma, and we'll see how things go with Russell as far as pitch count and all that. We got a bunch of guys we want to get out of the bullpen for their first time wearing a Vol uniform, and it dates back to my first answer. What we want out of this weekend is to get better and have a good experience. And if a guy can just get out there and wear that Vol uniform for the first time and compete, it'll make everybody better and it'll put a smile on our face.
How is Drew Beam a reflection of the development with the pitching coaches, Frank Anderson, and all of that?
He is, and I appreciate that question and would like to kind of add fluff to the answer, but to be honest with you, he's a very unique kid. I think freshman year, he made some of the other guys uncomfortable because he was more mature than them and just different in how he goes about it. And I think that comes from his family background. It's hard to say anyone's better or worse in certain areas when it comes to personality or character, but he's different. And again, I think that maturity is tied into the word stability I said earlier. So he's kind of always been somebody that's polished in a meeting or in a locker room or in a dugout. And then it's increasingly got better. He's kind of along with Xander. There's never been one crazy big jump because he burst onto the scene pretty quickly, but I think that came from, again, just incremental daily improvement. He's very regimented and very into his work ethic and is always open to coaching. And so I think because he's open to coaching, he has improved as much as you can. I mean, all we've ever asked of our guys is, if you listen to Woody, who's been around over 16 first rounders, I think, and been in pro ball, Q, who's been in Major League Baseball and has been around as many as you can list, and I think is the best guy in the country, and Frank, if you just listen to what those guys do, you'll have a good experience and you're probably going to be in a pretty dang good position. And Drew Beam is a guy that'll just listen to what he's asked to do and he'll go do it.
Do you have an update on Ariel and Dean?
Yeah, Ariel's coming along. He's able to use his lower half in any way, shape, or form that we want as coaches. But he did have the thumb issue, so we got to be a little patient where he's doing anything, swinging a bat or fielding. He is able to play catch. And then Dean, you know, knowing Dean, as big and physical as he is and confident as a kid, he's going to want to play Friday. Whether he'd be in the lineup even if he wanted to, we haven't even gotten that far. It's been nice to see the competition we have. But I think Dean and Alex Perry both had, you know, lower half injuries that were minor. And if push came to shove, we could use both of them on Friday. But it's more of a conservative time of year as opposed to May. We don't want to hear you turned your ankle or you're not feeling well or you got a cough or anything like that. But for now, we'll be a little more conservative.
What do you expect that middle infield? What do you expect that middle infield to look like?
Simo and Bradkey will be two of the mainstays. I think we mentioned Curley and Perry. We'll assess where their bodies are at. It'll be nice to kind of see those guys. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. I mean, Cam Bates is from Oklahoma. And so it'll be cool to have him in the dugout. And he's performed really well. He just keeps increasingly get better. But, you know, Simo and Bradkey are two older guys that we trust and that will be out there at some point. But Connor Hensley was at second base, and Bargo, during some of the drill work, was in the middle. We've moved guys all over the place, and it's going to be a group where we experiment a little bit. I don't want to drive these guys crazy, but we don't want to leave any stone unturned either.
You expect to use multiple guys behind the plate this weekend?
Yeah, no question. You know, Peebles and Cal and Chuck would be the main guys because Bargo can kind of play anywhere. And then we've had a million conversations up there, but you want to treat the freshmen with delicate, you know, hands, words, whatever you want to call it, because right now they got big bubbles over their head. What's the season like? What's expected of me? Where are we going? And with Stone, I just know I think the kid can play in the big leagues, and he's got a bright future, but he does have a lot to learn. If we plug him in a certain situation, I have confidence in him, especially at the plate right now, swinging the bat. But we'll see. But Chuck and Cal and Peeps will be ready to go.
How's Robin looking in the outfield? What's his role going to be for you starting that?
Yeah, he's been sneaking into practice here, although we haven't had any closed doors. Yeah, Robin, he wants to play, man. He's as passionate as anybody, and I think he adds some toughness to our team. And he's run around in the outfield a little bit on his own to have fun, and it kind of caught our eye because he looks good doing it. And we do want that versatility of trying different lineups, and the more we can kind of, you know, use different combinations of guys, the more it allows us to give a guy, you know, 20 games or so prior to conference, give a guy a fair look. And if Robin's getting chances at the plate, we're a better team, and that's one more way he can get a chance. He looks good out there.
Two more questions, Doug. What have you seen out of Matthew Dallas on the mound, and kind of where is he at in his progression?
Yeah, I have seen him kind of get over the hump of that guy. He did a lot. He was invited to all the big showcases and whatnot, and threw a lot for his high school. So a little bit of soreness early in his time here, but he's past that. He's been a great kid as far as anything you ask him to do, he's going to do at full speed. And yet he believes in himself. He doesn't need a crutch or doesn't believe in any excuses or anything like that. So he's got that mentality, regardless of what it says next to his eligibility, being a freshman. And then he's always had good stuff. He's grown into his body and grown into his stuff, but good enough right now, in my opinion, to go compete against any hitter we want him to and make us feel comfortable.
Who do you consider the options to be that third starter this weekend?
4 or 5 guys, to be honest, but because of the pitch counts being so low, we just don't see an advantage to it. I mean, it would for whoever that particular kid is, to sleep better at night, or maybe have an aunt, be able to tell his mom and dad, But for now, we want to attack opening day and see where that gets us. And to be fair to our second starter, we want him to be able to prepare. But when there's enough time or a good enough window where we can make sure that guy is settled and can get ready, we'll let him know. But it might be somebody gets crossed off because we want to use him in the 7th inning on Friday night.
What do you expect out of Blake Burke this season?
A lot. Have fun being around him. And another guy that wants to win as bad as you do. He's often in the corner with the coaches and watching the game, trying to figure things out. He kind of reminds me of Andre Lipsius in that capacity. And then at the plate, we showed a swing. It was unfortunate for the pitcher that was on video, but we showed a swing on video from a scrimmage where it was his best swing, and it eerily looked like Todd. And I don't want anyone to ever have their name attached to Todd unless their name's Redmond Walsh, because those are too big of shoes to fill. He just needs to be Blake Burke. And I think, rambling on, I found my answer directly to your question is a guy that's more comfortable hitting in the middle of the order and playing first base every day. Last year, he was great for us freshman year, and he was on a big-time team. But that's cheer for our guys, and you should demand excellence, and I want to win too. But in any sport, basketball, our deal, our women's soccer team, these are 19 and 20-year-olds. So this kid came all the way from California and all of a sudden is supposed to take over for Luke Lipsius, who was like 36 years old, and play every day and hit in the middle of the order. And then you guys started comparing him to Todd before we did. And he hears that because he doesn't listen to me or the other coaches and stay off social media. So I think a more relaxed dude that's a lot of fun to be around and wants to win.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
You got compared to